We have a very special guest talking to me and Natalie this morning. You've probably heard the Great Lakes called the Third Coast. Sometimes, it's called the Fresh Coast. Sometimes, but a new photo book is making the case that this stretch of shoreline, freshwater, deserves a much bigger spotlight. And David Zurick is the photographer behind the Third Coast, America's Great Lakes Shoreline, a stunning full-color journey around all 5 Great Lakes. But this isn't just a nature book, it's also about the people who live along these waters and the places. We're talking about cities, small towns, rural communities that define this often overlooked part of the country. And David joins us live via Zoom right now. David, thank you so much for being on the program. We really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here. Thanks for asking me.
You are just a wealth of knowledge. I was checking out your Instagram, and not only have you driven thousands of miles around the Great Lakes to photograph them in all seasons, but you have traveled the world with your photography. Can I ask first and foremost, what is your favorite place that you've ever been?
My favorite place is where I live right now in Kentucky, and my favorite part of these places is always where I'm at the moment.
That's
so I'm in Kentucky, and that's my favorite place.
He's a man of the present. Okay, so let's get to this. Let's get to this latest creation of yours. What inspired you to focus in specific on the Great Lakes region?
Sure, I grew up in Michigan, on a small town on Lake Huron. So the Great Lakes, the water is in my blood, and it's always been a part of me and part of my background. This particular project really came about because of COVID and the pandemic. I was working in India on a photography project, and when the pandemic hit and it closed down international travel, I was looking for something closer to home, and my internal compass sort of directed me north to the Great Lakes, and I began a series of trips up along the different lakes, and it led eventually to this book, The Third Coast.
You know, I've moved around the country, as Anthony has as well, with our career in journalism, and I'm always so interested to see what's important to people in different parts of the country and how do they live. And what was your takeaway with folks who live along these Great Lakes, who maybe benefit from employment somehow because of the Great Lake? I mean, it has to be a unique place, I think.
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal background, much of what made me into the person I am has to do with the Great Lakes in one way or another. Learning how to swim, learning how to, fish and hang out in the lakes, and the parties you'd have as a young person, all of that kind of collectively turned me into who I am. The folks that I met along the lakes, during the course of this project, similarly had that aspect to their life. And whether they could pinpoint a specific event or accumulation of memories, but basically living by the lake, having that body of water as a place to go to, looking out on the horizon, experiencing the things that we all do, around these lakes, makes them into who they are. And that was a great thing for me to experience.
We are looking at some of these gorgeous images right now. I saw one of what looked like a dune buggy. Was that by chance taken up near Sleeping Bear Dune?
Or Silver Lake.
Or that's what I was looking
Silver
for.
Lake.
Sorry.
Yes, Silver Lake, exactly. And which is south of the Sleeping Bear Dunes area. So it was basically a dune buggy park. So it was a part of some of the dunes are protected, as a national lake shore, but this was an area of private land or land that was devoted to recreational purposes. So that's where that photograph was made.
That's really fascinating. Tell us about some of the other images and what inspired them. The cover there looked like a rock formation. I feel like I've seen some of those rock formations Upper Peninsula region.
Yes, you've been traveling around.
Okay.
So that cover image is from the Apostle Islands off of Wisconsin on the kind of the western part of Lake Superior. When I was working on this project and trying to get a sense of how I might organize my photos, Lake Superior became a winter place. And I went up and I traveled along the shoreline. And really what I was looking for in this particular case were these ice caves up in the Apostle Islands area off of Wisconsin. I couldn't get to those because of ice conditions, but I did go on a 2-mile walk across the ice with actually an ice guide, a guy who knows the ice very well. And we came across a number of these formations, and the one on the cover of the book just stood out. It almost looked like it was ready to topple over at any moment. It caught my eye, and so I decided to make an image of it, and it turned out to be the cover of the book.
I'm always interested in like places to take the family for a vacation. So David, were there any spots where you were like along the Great Lakes, where like this would be a great spot for a family?
The Sleeping Bear Dunes area that you mentioned, I mean, that whole section of the the northwestern part of Michigan just strikes me as a very family-friendly, people-friendly place in terms of beaches, the diversity of communities and the landscape. Not too far from you guys in Chicago, just a couple of hours north. So that would be a spot that I would recommend. But I have to say, all of the lake shores have their treats to them and their little magical secret spots. And part of it is just exploring those.
In our notes, it says that 4,500 miles of shoreline constitutes the coverage area of this book, which is more than both of the other coasts, the American coasts combined. Will you unpack that for me? I'm like, 4,500 miles of fresh water shoreline.
That is incredible.
And that's bigger than from like Maine all the way down to Florida and the Washington State all the way down to Mexico?
Yeah, I was amazed by it too when I saw that figure. I didn't map that out, but I read that figure, and then I was cruising along, and what I realized is, these lakes are very convoluted shorelines. So if you stretch them out, it wouldn't be as lengthy as it is because there's so many inundations and curves to it. And then you start thinking of all the lakes in total going all the way all around them, and it all starts to add up pretty quickly.
Oh,
so that's
there we go.
That's how it happened there.
That's right. It's almost like if you
Exactly.
brought it out on a string.
Right.
Okay. And there's not as many indentations along the ocean, obviously. Okay.
So let's talk photography, David. What is your mindset in taking the perfect picture? Like, Mike Kaplan, our meteorologist, he takes photos. He always talks about
the rule of thirds.
The rule of thirds. Yeah, right. I mean, what are you looking for, or is it just all happenstance?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I always kind of stumble when I try to answer it because there's no specific answer to it. A lot of it is just kind of intuition, and I've been photographing for quite some time, so part of it just relates to what I kind of in my own gut sense is a good image. But there are some things specifically I'm looking for. One, for me, a photograph is all about light, the quality of light. There's composition, there's geometry. You mentioned the 3/3 kind of idea, although you notice in this book, a lot of my photographs, I actually split the image in half, so it's half sky, half land. But that's just a personal inclination. But in addition to light, I guess the overarching theme that I'm looking for in my photography is sort of the human imprint on the landscape. I don't do a lot of pure nature photography. There's a lot of outstanding photographers who make beautiful, beautiful imagery of the natural world. I am mainly interested in how we have shaped the world, how we shape the landscape, and I'm interested in that because then the landscape can be a reflective surface, kind of a mirror that reflects back onto the lives of the people who live there. And for me, it makes it more interesting because it has then not just a natural history story, but a human story to tell.
Wow.
Yeah, I noticed that with the those smokestacks above the dunes. I saw that one, the dune buggy, and then those folks taking shots of the sun. It looked like either a sunrise or a sunset that they were taking video of with their phones.
Yeah, it was a sunrise, and it was actually, I was on Lake Huron, and it was interesting because I was out there doing the same thing as they were, and they were a little bit further down the beach, and I had the beautiful light, and I have an image just of that real clean horizon with the rising sun before the sun actually came up with those real rich colors. But then I happened to walk over behind those folks, and I saw that both of them were intently focused on what I was focused on, and it was both showing up in both of their camera images. So I thought that was very cool. So I decided to use that.
I thought that was really cool as well. Where can folks pick up? We're about out of time here, David, but where can folks pick up your book?
You can get it from pretty much any of your favorite booksellers, independent bookstores, Northwestern University presses selling it, and they're actually providing a discount if you put third coast one word, all caps, in there on the checkout. You get, I think it's a 20 or 25% discount if you want to directly order through them. But basically, wherever people like to buy books, I think you'd be able to get it. Yeah, no problem.
David, thank you.
Yes,
yeah.
one more. Sorry,
okay, go ahead.
One thing occurred to me. Did you write all the copy as well?
I did the afterword. The foreword was written by Jerry Dennis. He's a Northern Michigan outdoors writer, and he did a wonderful job with the foreword on it. Yeah.
Can't wait to check out the whole thing, David Zurick. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you, sir. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on your program.
Thank
It was a pleasure.
you.